And this Kanai once again. Just want to share a few words of encouragement. Hopefully, it helps you to get you in your journey or help you to realize that you're just stuck in traffic. Well, today, man, I just want to say that I was stuck in traffic for a good minute. Not because of nothing recent, but because of something that attitude, a mindset, and intentions that I had a few years ago. And this was brought to my attention from a conversation I was having with someone, and that someone was one of my children. And a few years back, our family went through some changes, and those changes affected her in a way that I never understood. And this happens a lot, like when parents separate. That child is left sometimes to choose indirectly, um, which parent they're gonna want to side with, basically. And that side that she had chosen wasn't my side because she feels as though I attribute to the situation that occurred. And I tried my best to give clarity, to give understanding as a parent. And as a parent, sometimes you overlook the need to be supportive of that child emotionally when they're going through some level of trauma as a result of a decision that you might have had to make. And it's hard because in the moment, you're processing the trauma that you're now experiencing as a result of that decision. And you're also trying to comfort them in the way that you think is needed, but not understanding that the emotional aspect, the emotional support that they need is more important. And it was an oversight. And though I felt like I was being emotionally supportive the way that I thought that it needed to be done, it wasn't it wasn't at all to them. And it happens, man. It happens as parent because we from the old school were taught a certain way, and we choose to govern our parental style based on how our parents raised us. But as the years go by, man, and you have to deal with some of the millenniums or some of those that were born in 2000, their mindset and their mental aptitude as far as dealing with trauma is a little different. And all this wasn't privy to me, and that's the thing as a parent, man. You don't have all the answers, you know what I mean? And sometimes you're figuring it out as you go. And they're getting, the real time, the real time experience far as how you're functioning as a parent in those situations as they occur. And it's only until afterwards, man, if you're fortunate enough to have a conversation at a later date to where they might be a little more mature, or you might still lucky to have a relationship with them depending on how that experience in raising them went. And I'm thanking God that I'm fortunate that I still have a relationship with them, that we can still talk, we can still have conversations. And it's within that conversation that I found out that though I wanted to acquit myself of the charges or the conviction that I felt as though she was given to me, that wasn't what was needed at that time. And when she said it, I was convicted. I was convicted, and I accept responsibility for that being an oversight because it wasn't something that I was incapable of. I could have definitely be emotionally supportive, but while I was processing my own trauma through the situation and trying to manage her and her siblings, their emotional state, it didn't come across as though I was supportive emotionally. And I'm glad that we had a conversation, man. And if you're a parent and you have been through some traumatic situation with your child, man, and if you still have an opportunity to revisit the conversation and to see how you show up, see how you showed up as a parent to that child, because you might have think you did a hell of a good job, in being a certain way with them, and only come to find out when they give their rendition as to what happened and how you showed up, you'll find out that it might be totally different. And it's to give the understanding so that they are able to put that experience in a better place, because without the conversation they'll go with the narrative that they have far as why you weren't able to show up the way they wanted you to show up, not the way you think you should have showed up in that situation. So in understanding this, man, it makes me want to have those conversations with each and every one of them, because here it is, I thought that I was doing a good job, and I took advantage of the opportunities when I could to explain my side. But in all actuality, they didn't really care about my side, and that happens a lot of times when you go through some traumatic stuff, man. You don't really want to hear how that is affecting things around you. You just want to know that you need to find a safe space. You need to find people that can identify and empathize with your circumstances and help you to get through it. And if you don't have that, then you have to find the best space in order to do so. So it was a little unnerving to hear that, I wasn't actually present when I needed to be. I wasn't actually emotionally supportive as I needed to be as a parent during that traumatic time in her life, as we were going through it together. So as a parent, man, this is Kanai. I just want to just say to those parents, when your child is going through something traumatic, it doesn't matter the age, man. Just try to be more supportive of how they might be feeling in that situation, how they might be processing that situation, more so than you trying your best to, if you're involved or part of that traumatic situation, instead of you trying to acquit yourself of any charge, or not allowing yourself to be the victim in that situation. Remove you out of the situation for a minute and try to more focus on them, because I think with you or us as the parent, we have a little more experience under our belt, and in most cases we're able to pull through, or we might have other adults that can more sympathize with us, because it might be a little more relatable, but they might not have that. They might not have other friends and so forth that they can talk to, and they might be expecting that from you. So this is Kanai once again telling you, stop existing and start living. Peace.